Hi, I'm Carol Pate. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about spirit and spirit possession because I've been getting a lot of questions on that topic. Now, I've covered it before, but there's more involved, and there's probably some more questions that we can actually include to begin this with. There was something that, wasn't there a question about if they could follow you, if spirits could follow you?
There is. How does physical distance relate to the spiritual world? Can a spirit, say, in Austria, follow a person to India?
Yes.
Also, can a psychic pick up energies from a different country?
Yes. Oddly enough, spirits, ghosts, people, souls of people, have learned to travel using planes, trains, buses, and can actually think themselves to an area if they've been there before, if there's a connection there before. A lot of times, I don't know if they're still doing it or not, but a lot of times planes will use seats from crashed planes where the seats are still intact, and use those in the planes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they sometimes will carry the energies of the people that died on the crash. And so some of those people have learned to go from place to place using planes. Same way with trains, where there's been train crashes, deaths on trains. They've learned to travel on trains as well. And sometimes they can just attach to you. Let's say you're in a pub in Ireland and a spirit attaches to you. Maybe it's a past life connection, maybe they just like you, or maybe it's a family connection, and they attach to you. You can bring them home to America or to whatever country that you go to. So that does happen and can happen. I had a friend of mine that went to Ireland, and she brought back with her a spirit of a priestess, as a matter of fact, and she knew her from a past life, and she brought her to me because I knew her in a past life, and she had information. So yes, this can happen, and it's not common, but it can happen. So yes, you can pick up spirits of people. They can attach to you, or they can travel with you, connecting to your energy, and take them from country to country or place to place.
Okay, and
the psychic part?
The psychic part.
Yeah, I work with a lot of different clients from a lot of different countries all over the world. And when I tap into them, probably the best example was I had a client that had lost a cat, and they were in Holland. And I saw the cat at a farm in Holland, and I saw the farm adjacent to a road which led to the village, which led to the house of the people that owned the cat. And I was able to travel that energy psychically and locate the cat, and they did find the cat.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't like doing that, people. I've really slowed down my animals, finding missing animals and missing dogs. It's really, really hard. But yes, it can be done.
I am having a hard time getting to the questions, and I don't know what's going on tonight. I apologize. I'm not seeing them. And when I am seeing them, I'm losing them like that. Thank you, Steve.
Bear with us.
We're
always professionals here.
This isn't quite on topic, but the question is, this is wondering if it's too late for her to start doing energy work. She just turned 60. And she wants to start doing her next, she says she is looking for her next role in life, and she'd like to be doing some energy work.
I'm not sure what she means by energy work. Psychic work? No. If she was going to be a psychic, that's something you're born with, and it just is. It can be mastered, not really controlled, but mastered. One can learn healing energy work. So that's something that she could do. Mediumship, no. That's something you either have or you don't. It can be worked with. It can be not developed, but mastered. A lot of people think that energy work is kind of like all of the above, and there are variations of it. So I'd have to know exactly what kind of energy work she is referring to.
And if you'd like to go ahead and add that to your question, if we don't get to it tonight, we will get to it.
Yeah, I will get to it. Absolutely.
I'm looking for more questions here, Steve.
Aww.
We're not really having very many come in yet. Do you want to go ahead and expand a
Sure.
little bit more on what the topic is?
Well, I wanted to talk about spirits. You can call them ghosts, you can call them spirits, you can call them souls. It's actually people out of body, human beings out of body. We're all souls. And I think a lot of people think that a soul is a separate part of the spirit, when in actuality it seems to be you are spirit, you are the soul. It is all relatively the same, but your soul or your spirit is at a higher frequency than your body is. It's at a lower frequency so that you can interact in the material plane of existence. When your body dies, your soul then lifts out of your body and the cords are broken. There's a silver cord and a golden cord. And when those are broken, then your soul is free of the body itself. If people are put on life support, one will break and the other one will not. And that's usually because the heart is still beating. That holds that golden cord. And consequently, the person is partially in and partially out of their body. Okay? When they stop the resuscitation, then that allows that cord to break, and then the soul is freed from the body.
So is the first cord that broke connected to the brain?
It is connected to the brain.
Okay. And
Yes.
so when you have the brain go, even though the heart's still going,
You still
have one cord
connected.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why there's been a lot of problems when they've had heart, where they've done surgery.
That I was going to ask about organ donation. Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah. I've seen it with the heart and I've seen it with the liver, not with the kidneys.
Okay.
But with the heart, and it doesn't always happen, but a lot of times the person remains corded with that heart. And when the person is the recipient of that organ, then they seem to be the recipient of the owner of the organ as well.
But they can break that, correct?
That can be taken care of, yes. You can ask the Band of Mercy to help that person by bringing their loved ones forth. And if they're in agreement, that can be broken and they can go on into the light.
Do you have to wait to do that till after the transplant, or since it's going to be yours, could you have someone ask before it's put into your body?
I've never been asked that before, but I bet you could ask it before, yes.
So that it doesn't affect you.
It does change personality traits, character traits, physical character traits as well.
Hungers for certain foods.
Yeah, exactly.
Than before.
I had one particular case, it was a liver donor. I may have mentioned this before, but I was called by his family because he had just gone berserk, and he had been locked up and put in jail, and the police, they couldn't get him calmed down. So the family called me, and he had just recently had a liver transplant. Well, the donor was what they call a gangbanger, and he had been shot down by the police in a rage. And it was his liver that was donated to this young man. And when he came out of the operation, and as he began to heal, he started going into these rages, which was where this donor was at the point of death. So I went ahead and I had the Band of Mercy come bring the family of the donor and get him to release and go into the light. And they were able to take it, because it belonged to the young man at that point in time. I could ask that he had a choice of going into the light or into protected sanctuary. I couldn't do that prior to.
Okay.
It would have been his choice. But because of the ownership of the body, there's like spiritual laws involved. And then he went on into the light, and the boy calmed down, and everything was fine.
So is it the spirit that's
Yeah.
follows the organ, or just an energy?
No, it's the spirit
it's the
itself.
spirit itself.
Yes. The soul.
The one who was asking about the energy work, she's talking about healing or being trained to do healing.
Yes, that can be done. Absolutely. Now, some have more a gift in that area, so it's easier for them to learn, and it's a stronger area for them, like therapeutic touch, Reiki, and some of the healing work that I've been involved with. The healing work that I do is more about knowledge of how energies work and how the body works and how energies affect the body, and being able to tap those energies out of specific cellular levels to bring into effect healing. So a lot of this is not just energy work, it's knowledge. And yes, you can learn that, and you can practice that.
I am actually able to see all the questions now.
Yay.
But this is a question on suicide.
Oh,
Okay.
Suicide.
How do you know if someone that passed is at peace or not?
Suicide, they're never at peace.
Would you explain a little bit for those who were not?
When you commit suicide, you break spiritual law. It is the law of self-murder. You cannot break the law of self-murder. If you do that, you are bound to this earth plane. Now, can you be released? Yes. If you go to my website, carolpate.com, and go to sending a loved one into the light, that is enough to release them from being earthbound and will allow them to go into the light. But it has to be through a family member, a love connection family member. It doesn't have to be a family member. It can be a love connection if they have
A loved one.
loved one, yes.
Not necessarily blood related.
Not necessarily blood related, yes. So yes, it can be done. Thank God. Otherwise, they're earthbound until their appropriate time to pass, and or if they've caused other people to harm themselves or to pass, their extended time can be way extended to 100 years, 200 years. It can be bad.
Past their time.
Past their time.
But when it's their time, the light will be shown for them.
When it's their time, the light will be shown for them. Now this is, I hate saying this, but this is also for medical assisted suicide. It falls in that same category, and I hate it. Because I believe in dying with dignity, but there are spiritual laws, and if you break them, you suffer the consequences, and I don't make those laws.
Here is a question about your psychic side. What is your favorite way to connect with energies? And when do you feel that you have done your best work?
Oh, I get that sometimes on a daily basis. I really do. The best way for me is psychometry. That to me is the safest, easiest way for me to connect, to protect myself, and I can connect as deeply as I need to, or as lightly as I need to, depending upon the circumstances. That means holding a photograph or a sample of writing in ink. It can't be in pencil. Pencil does not work. Graphite eliminates the energies. Or it can be a ring, if only worn by that individual, not by two or three. Eyeglasses, if only worn by that individual. Shoes. Shoes work really well. The inside of the soles of the feet, where the inside of the shoe, that works really well. I don't particularly like it, but it works. I have located people that way. What I do is I touch and I let go. And I touch and I let go. When I let go, that gives me a chance to be not totally released from the energies, but I'm okay. Because sometimes the energies are extremely traumatic, and sometimes extremely painful. So I have learned over the years to touch, let go, touch, let go.
And you're not just talking about physical pain, you're talking about mental anguish also.
Mental anguish, physical pain. I mean, horrific.
Such as a murder victim.
Yeah.
Can you get jumped during that time?
Can I get what?
Can you get jumped by a spirit?
Yes, that does happen. Sometimes I do mediumship as well. I don't think I'm that great as a medium, but I can do mediumship. That's not my forte. But these two ladies came to see me, and their mother and father had been murdered. And their brother had been charged with the murder, and they wanted to know if in fact it was that he truly did it. And they handed me a necklace of their mother's. And when I took the necklace of the mother, she leaped into me and stayed with me for about an hour to an hour and a half. And I didn't know what she had said. I didn't remember anything. I was out. And when I came to, they were on the floor, and one had one hand and one had the other hand, and they were both crying. The brother had killed both the mother and father, had slaughtered them. So I now have my assistant, Carol.
The other Carol.
So that when I touch into the photograph of someone, and they do leap into my body, which is not a rare occasion, it does happen, I will have them call her. She will come in and ask the Band of Mercy to remove them from me, like immediately. Because I never know what's going to happen. And I really don't like having them come in and just it's like Whoopi Goldberg, and Ghost.
Yeah.
Except for the wind. No wind, sorry.
And you can't ask for the Band of Mercy because
I can sometimes.
Out.
And if I can, I will.
Can.
But sometimes I can't speak.
Right.
They push you back.
Yeah, they push me back to the back, literally, as they
Wow.
begin to take me over.
Well, this is a great segue into this question.
Okay.
How can you protect yourself? She gives an example. She said, I went to Maryland from possession. I went to Maryland in 2011 to attend a renewal of marriage vows. It was a festive event. Everyone in her immediate family was there.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that the trip was very special because of all this. It would be her mom's last trip. She was over 80 and was declining in health. And anyway, she goes on to say there was at least 125 people present. And when she was sitting down, she heard her father's voice. And before she could do anything or say anything, up and away she went. He asked her to dance. And he took her dancing.
Cool. Why does she need protection?
Well, this goes on. And Valerie, I apologize. This is very lengthy. I'm trying to summarize it here. I'm making sure I have the name right. Valeria. They asked what was wrong with the drunk girl. Is she drunk? What was wrong with the girl? Is she drunk? I guess because of how she was acting. She said that, from what I'm getting from this, is that she was taken over and she couldn't control what was going on. And it kind of made her a spectacle at the wedding.
I would imagine so, yeah.
So.
I don't know of any way to protect yourself, except that you do the lifting after you, or as you think something's happening. If you've been working doing the lifting and you've got
the daily lifting you're speaking of.
Lifting. If you've got sort of, you've been working with the Band of Mercy, you can ask the Band of Mercy to protect you. And they can help you and protect you. Or you can ask them if you find that something's entering in or taking over, you can do what I do. You can ask the Band of Mercy to remove them now in the name of Jesus Christ and do whatever they deem necessary with them. But that's the
And you
only
have
way.
the right to do that because they are entering you.
Yeah, you have the right. Now, if you've gone into a cemetery, after you've worked with the Band of Mercy, you can actually ask them to place a floating sanctuary around you that can help to keep you protected for a period of 12 hours to 24 hours, and ask that it be perpetually cleansed and you be buffered and shielded, and that does help. That works. But
say that again so she's got it all. Would you repeat exactly what you just said again? But you kind of, I knew what you were talking about.
If you go into a cemetery, let's say you've been working with the Band of Mercy, you've been doing the liftings on a regular or semi-regular basis, and you've gotten acquainted with the Band of Mercy, and they're acquainted with you, and you have to go to the cemetery because there's going to be a funeral, and you have to be there. You can ask the Band of Mercy to place a floating sanctuary around you, that it be perpetually cleansed, and that you be appropriately buffered and shielded and protected in the name of Jesus Christ, and it'll be done for you.
Could you also, if you realize that you do pick up spirits in social situations, could you do that before going into that social situation?
You can do that, absolutely. But it requires that you be working with the Band of Mercy.
You have to build authority.
You have to build authority, yes.
This lady asks that she feels that she has been having angels connecting with her since childhood,
Okay.
where they have actually lifted her into the air. She's heard her name said, and she doesn't understand that they've kept her out of harm's way.
Okay.
So she's wondering why she would be chosen to be worked with.
Let me clarify something, okay? There is no one that is more special or less special than anyone else. God created everyone unto themselves, to their imperfections and their perfections, their characteristics. We all have work that we're supposed to do from lifetime to lifetime. Sometimes it's not special work. Sometimes it's being a gardener with 3 or 4 kids, a husband or wife, and just doing your very best. Sometimes it means saving a world, so to speak. Sometimes it means being a medium. Sometimes it means being a psychic. But we're all special. So why are we chosen? Because we chose to be chosen. We chose this lifetime to do this work. And we came in with the gifts to do it. If we come into this world, though, and we see this person over here, and they're special because they do this mediumship, well, I want to be special like that person. I want to help people too. And you didn't come in with the gifts. That's not your path. And other people will take advantage of you to try to make you think it is to get your money. You be cautious. If your path is supposed to be one way, it will be one way. I did not want to be a psychic. I did not want to be medium. I did not want to work on murder cases.
Professionally, you're talking about.
Well,
period.
Yeah. I worked for the Kidney Foundation. I was executive director. I liked it. I enjoyed it. To be a psychic? That's weird. But I had no choice. I got kicked out of my closet and exposed to the light, and here I am. And I'm telling you, this is all, it's not a pleasurable trip. Now, there are wonderful things that I've learned and that I've gleaned from this profession, if you will. But sometimes it's more like a curse. It's painful. It puts me in horrible situations sometimes. I'm not always safe. Like when I walked into the liquor store and I got shot as I walked through the door and dropped. You know, a week before, a guy got shot in the door of the liquor store.
You didn't really get shot. You felt.
I thought I did.
Right, you felt his pain. You felt what happened.
I dropped. Scared them to death, scared me to death. You should see the streets of Chicago. Whoa. A lot of people got shot on those streets. It's not fun and games. I will say this, I'm never bored. I don't have a normal life. And I've come to realize that, and I've come to appreciate it in my own way. Sometimes it can be just downright startling, some of the things that happen. But you have what you need to do what you're supposed to do in this lifetime, and it's the choices that you make. You can choose to throw your life away, or you can make wonderful choices and follow your path and follow your talents, whatever they may be, whether it be an artist or musician, a doctor, a lawyer, or a psychic, or an actor, or
a mechanic.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. But we choose what we're going to be doing.
If we go into the light.
If we go into the light. Now, if you don't go into the light, then you've got some problems. All right. When you leave this vehicle, this body, and you step out of this body, you are shown a bright white light, okay? If you don't go into that light, you get earthbound. And if you get earthbound, you can be earthbound for a very, very long time, let me tell you. Consequently, then you may choose to be reborn because you get drawn into this energy of this woman that's pregnant, and you get pulled into the baby or the fetus, and then you get born to that woman. And it's anything can happen. If you go into the light, you get to choose what your next lifetime is going to be, who your parents are, and that's not always a perfection thing, trust me. It's usually survival in some cases. Sometimes it's really good. It depends what you need for your lesson. But you can plan out your life. And those gifts that you have evolved through many, many lifetimes then come into focus to be what you want them to do for you in this lifetime, for your path, for your evolvement, and for those around you.
Children that are prodigies, like 3, 4 years old, all of a sudden they're writing symphonies. You want to expand on that?
I don't have a great deal of knowledge on that. I've talked to my guides about it. These are gifts from past lifetimes that are carryover, and sometimes like savants. They may not be good in any other area except that one singular area, whether it be music, art, math, whatever it happens to be. That's where they are 100%. But they have that lifetime for a specific reason. There's something that they didn't do in a past lifetime that they should have done with the gift, and they blew it off or missed it for whatever reason. Each lifetime has its own life mission, life lesson to overcome and to use. And the people that we have in our life, the same thing. We don't understand why we keep drawing this same person into our life that maybe brings us misery. It's because we need to overcome them to learn our lesson so we can move forward.
Or the same type of person over and
Yes.
over.
Same person, different face.
Gotcha. So do you think that those people are reincarnated like Beethoven is reincarnated again as a pianist, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So they will carry those gifts with them from one life to another?
They can. And then they may change and shift off to a different gift.
And they would choose that, would they not?
If they go into
Between
the light.
lifetimes?
If they go in the light, they can choose whatever gifts that they, and they can choose to have them strengthened to accomplish whatever it is that they really want to accomplish.
What their mission is in the next lifetime, or purpose.
Do our loved ones reincarnate as pets
No.
to come back to be with us?
I asked my guides about this. As I thought that'd be really cool. I'd love to be born like a cat or a dog. Better yet, a horse. I love horses. I just really love horses. Or a black panther, which would be really cool, you know? And my guide said, species to species. I said, okay, what's species to species? What do you mean? A house cat to a lion? They said, yes, species to species. Does that mean that I can't be a lion? That means you cannot be a lion. Yes. Can I be a rock? You cannot be a rock. Can I be a tree? You cannot be a tree. It is species to species.
Because your spirit stays your spirit.
Your DNA.
Ah.
You have DNA, RNA in spirit.
In your soul.
It's a material form. It's of a higher vibration. It's a material form. Has weight.
True.
Carol, along the lines of pets, we have a watcher tonight who recently lost her dog
Oh,
of many years. And can you just kind of address
sure.
pet reincarnation and possibility of having same soul pets in the next lifetime?
Yeah. The beauty of when a pet passes, or any animal passes, is they immediately go to the light. They don't have to look for the light. That's automatic. They go into the light, which is not like us, which again goes back to species to species.
And free will.
Species to species.
Okay.
Free will. They don't have free will. They go
Right.
straight
That's
to the
what I'm saying.
light.
We have it.
We
That's
have
why.
free will. Yeah. That doesn't make us any better either. So when they pass, they go straight to the light, and then they're allowed to come back for a period up to about 2 months, sometimes a little over, sometimes under. During that time frame, they are here to comfort us. They are here to be comforted, because they miss and mourn us just like we miss and mourn them, sometimes even more so. During that time frame, if you, let's say you lost a dog, if you get a puppy, that dog that has passed will train that puppy to the characteristics that you loved about your last pet. The things that you loved about them, and will teach them not to do the things that you didn't like. Okay? So they'll actually train your animal for you if you get it in that time frame.
What if there are other pets in the house, though? Let's say you had 2 other dogs.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, would the spirit of the dog come back and affect the spirits of the dogs that are current, or that are still in body?
No.
Okay.
They would probably, they will, the only one that will affect it is the spirit of the pet that had passed will affect the puppy.
Puppy, right.
All right. After that, that puppy or that dog may or may not come back to you in this lifetime, may or may not reincarnate in this lifetime. But your animals, as you need them, will incarnate to you in future lifetimes. Because I've had pets, and it's so weird. I had a little Maltese. My neighbor found the Maltese. She brought the Maltese to my house and said, I found this little dog. And the dog looked at me, I looked at it, it jumped, I picked it up, and it was like electricity. I said, I'll keep it. It's like nothing I ever experienced in my entire life. And that dog never left my side. And when she passed, she showed me the lifetimes that we had had together.
How cool.
Yeah, glimpses. And then
Wow.
she passed.
Wow. Whoa. Oh, before she passed, you saw.
Yeah, before she passed.
Wow.
That's really cool.
But it taught me that they can be with us lifetime through lifetimes, as we need them, and maybe as we earn them.
Okay.
So I hope that helps.
Thank you.
How do you know if your loved one who you have prayed into the light has actually gone into the light?
Well, it's the first thing that happens is there's a sense of relief, because when they're not in the light, you have this unfinished mourning that just consistently goes on and on and on. It's like you don't feel like they're safe. You don't feel like everything's all right, or that they're all right. When they go into the light, you get this peace. There's a peacefulness that comes over you, and the mourning begins to lift off of you. And in usually about 2 weeks, and it doesn't always happen, but very often in about 2 weeks, they'll show up in a dream, and they will look glorious, young, glowing, fabulous, and just be there for you. And you'll know they're safe, and you'll feel they're safe. But that's the only way that...
And if they come to you in the dream and they don't look like that?
Then they haven't been in the light. That's another thing, too. People that don't go in the light very often will show up in your dream, and they're searching. They look exactly like they do before they passed. They're not happy. They may be crying. And there's something wrong. That's because they didn't go into the light. And that's the reason it's like that.
Okay. This is a newcomer from the question. What is the Band of Mercy?
Good question. Thank you. Love newbies. The Band of Mercy. Let me explain how I met the Band of Mercy. That might be the best way to handle it.
And he may not be so new, but I don't know if you've answered that question lately.
I don't think I have. Dr. Edith Perot wrote a book, The Unquiet Dead. And I had a friend, he was a doctor, and he really wanted me to read this book. And I went, okay. Well, a year later, I hadn't read the book. One of my clients brought me the book, said, you really need to read the book. I said, okay. I read the book, and it was about spirit possession. And I began to learn what spirit possession was. And that was when spirits, they attach to your body through your aura at the base of your skull and the back of your neck and shoulders. And I found out that this was not uncommon. I had a serious neck condition. I'd been in a car wreck years before, and I thought it was due to that. Well, it turned out I had two or three spirits that had died from broken necks, and it caused a great deal of neck pain with me. I learned through this doctor that wanted me to read the book how to do finger signals if there were spirits that... This was basically to get to your subconscious, which I used for spirit attachments, which was the right one index was yes, the left index was no, the little finger was I don't know, and actually it means I don't want to answer. So after I read the entire book, and it said about halfway through, if you're feeling major anxiety, this probably means you're spirit possessed. And I went, okay. And I was feeling major anxiety. And I read it all the way through. The next day, 3 people showed up on my doorstep. I think I have spirits attached to me. Can you help me? Well, I'd read the book. I knew the finger signals. Why not? So I got them in the room and I sat them down. And I had them just relax their mind and body and put their hands on their knees. And I said to them, and I was tape recording this, I said, are there any spirits attached here? I got a yes. Are there more than 10? No. Are there 10? No. Are there 9? No. Are there 8? Yes. Are these spirits men? Yes, no. Are they men and women? Yes, no. Yes. Are they adults? Yes, no. Are there children? Yes. So I started asking these questions. Meanwhile, I got the tape recorder going. I played back the tape, and there are answers. There are people answering my questions on the tape. Okay?
Like we had.
Yeah. Made a believer out of me real fast. So I trained somebody else to do the work and had them do me, and I had 23 spirits attached to me. Got them lifted off of me, and I learned about the Band of Mercy. Now, the Band of Mercy, I learned it through the book, but I was at a used bookstore in Hot Springs, and there was a book that flew off the shelf and landed at my feet. And it was a really old book, like 18-something, late 1800s. And it was about Dr. Wicklund and his wife, who he was working with spirit possession. And she was like a medium. It was akin to Ed and Lorraine Warren, but like earlier, before, okay? And
Was it them in a past life?
maybe, I don't know. Possibility, because it was very similar. And he was talking about spirit possession and about the Band of Mercy. And he said that he had talked to the Band of Mercy via his wife, because she was a medium. And they had told him that they were humans who had been bound to the earth plane because they didn't go into the light for various reasons. And that they had decided that they were going to donate their time while they were in the light into helping those that were bound like they had been, to help them get to the light. And I went, wow. Well, I then met the Band of Mercy. Through a medium, I started using mediums, training mediums to do the work with the Band of Mercy. They helped me to train the mediums. And because these were people that were gifted. And they told me the same exact thing. That they were human souls, not angelics, nothing of that nature. Human souls, that what they do, they call themselves the Band of Mercy, and they rescue. Which I thought was amazing. Well, given time, I was talking to Carol about this earlier today, given time, after working with the Band of Mercy, I've been working with them for 38 years, somewhere around there. I started evolving other bands of mercy. I evolved through their help. I met the Legion of Pan, evolved the Legion of Pan, which is, they were already there. I didn't really evolve them. They were already there. Began working with them. And the ET Band of Mercy, extraterrestrial, because I ran into extraterrestrial souls that were found in here. And yes, I do believe in UFOs. Sorry. I had too much proof given to me. And one day I will talk about it. Someday.
Can you explain evolve real quick? What do you mean by evolve? A group?
With the E.T. Band of Mercy, I had enough E.T. souls that they offered to become the E.T. Band of Mercy, just as our Band of Mercy.
So you're kind of coordinating them?
No, it developed. They developed into
After
a Band of Mercy.
After you
Okay.
help them into the light.
After I helped them into the
Okay,
light.
so when you say you evolved, that's
Yeah,
I was trying to understand what that meant.
created. I hate to use that terminology because
Facilitated.
it was an interaction.
I think facilitated would be a better word.
Facilitated.
That's a good word to
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
I facilitate.
Yeah.
I help to facilitate.
Yes.
Because that's what they offered to do this, and I said,
Cool.
great, let's do this.
Cool.
And so they developed and became the E.T. Band of Mercy. When I got into the dimensions and started working with the dimensions, there are 10 dimensions to this planet, then because they were so grateful for the work, they offered to become interdimensional Band of Mercy. And then when we got the Glory Band of Mercy, that evolved through humans finding out that human spirits were deceived into believing that if they remained bound and worked in service to Satan, that they would become demons. Okay? When they found out the truth, those souls that had, not all of them of course, but those souls came back and then offered to be the Glory Band of Mercy, and they named themselves.
So through you, through the redemption work that you do, and helping them go into the light, they in turn formed.
Yes.
Knowing that you have worked with other bands, and they decided to form a band,
Yes.
and you're able to work with them now.
Yeah, so I now work with them. And then our original Band of Mercy kind of became a conglomeration of some of those entities as well. Because I noticed that when people would come through my medium, they'd say, "What's that standing over there? It doesn't look human." So I asked the Band of Mercy, I said, "What's going on there?" And they said, "Well, the interdimensional wanted to work with us, and a couple of the ETs decided they wanted to work with us too." I said, "Okay."
Well, couldn't those people that pass have had multiple things
No,
attached?
that wasn't about the person that came through.
Okay.
It was just
Well, I meant why they are working together, maybe.
they enjoyed each other's company and they liked working
Well,
together.
there you go.
As above, so below.
Yeah. No, there were no
and
angelics
you can
involved.
still be adding to the Band of Mercy. Is it like a part-time thing where they?
No, they seem to be full time.
Okay. Because I know that someone that you helped from my
offered to join them.
offer to join, and in turn was able to take his family members into the light.
Well, the beauty of it is that as it expands, and these bands of mercies have expanded because they're being used more, because more people in the world are doing the liftings, which has expanded the bands of mercy.
And so there's new ones forming, like the Integral Band.
Yeah, exactly. There's new ones being formed.
So out of the original Band of Mercy, these others are forming now.
Springing out.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And none of them are angelics, though.
They're all human spirits.
These are all human, alien, interdimensional, various.
Non-demonic, non-angelic.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Someone made a comment, and I just wanted you to agree or disagree.
Okay.
Don't drink alcohol. It's a gateway for lower entities to ride your body.
That's true. That's absolutely true. That's why they call it, in the South, I love this, in the South, I'm from California. You know, in California they're called liquor stores. In the South they're called wine and packages.
Wine and
Spirit, but wine and package. Is it wine and packages?
Wine and spirits.
No, there's a wine and package. No. Wine and spirits. Never mind. The others there too. And I went, what is that about? And the Band of Mercy said, it's true. It's true.
Wine and
They are
spirits.
gateways. Drugs are gateways. Oh my God. If you're,
But it's okay to have a glass of wine occasionally.
it's fine to take. It's not okay to overindulge because they can take you over,
Moderation.
as in all things. Absolutely. And you start doing drugs, heavy drugs, you draw to you druggies who have died, who want to do drugs through your body. If you do alcohol, you're going to draw alcoholics that want to do alcohol, that will take advantage of the situation. And these are low beings.
Before I ask this next question, I want to expand on what you had talked about. You had spoken about when you do not go into the light and finding a pregnant woman and entering the fetus. Is there anything that can help protect that woman, or is there something that could keep it from?
Okay, unfortunately, normal pregnancy, if the woman does not do drugs, does not do alcohol, doesn't get off,
Takes care of herself.
takes care of herself, she has a glow. Now that glow is not just a glow, it's a protective field that protects the child. Alright? If you do drugs, if you do alcohol, the glow is not there. That child is not protected. And anything can attach to that child. Anyone can attach to that child. And that puts that child in danger because you're drawing to you druggies, alcoholics, etc. So there's a real danger there.
Okay.
That's the only protection that I
And
know.
that's what I was getting at.
Thank you.
Okay, you did explain this was a two-part question. You expanded on the Band of Mercy, because you also do that for the Legion of Pan. There's some that still are not understanding Pan and why is he a god, and they don't
Yeah,
understand that. And
That's a queasy one. I met the Legion of Pan doing my work through a medium. It was time for me to start working with the Legion of Pan, and Pan was brought to my attention through my work through a medium. I had been called by a hospital about a child that had been, it's like there was something attached into the child's back, okay? It turned out these were animals that this child's father used to take the child on hunting trips, and the father thoroughly enjoyed killing these animals, and the animals attached to the child's back. This was early in this process. And when I released them from the child and talked to them, they told me that father enjoyed killing them, and so they had attached to the child the one thing that the father absolutely adored, as well as to the father. And I didn't know what to do with him.
was he cruel about how he killed them?
Yes, he was cruel. He was torturous. And I asked him what to do. I didn't know what to do with him. I didn't know what to do with the diva or spirit of dog, cat, or squirrel, whatever. And I needed to meet the Legion of Pan. They told me about the Legion of Pan. All animals know about the Legion of Pan. Okay. Well, they bring Pan in. And Pan is like, not real friendly. And I kind of like, I am the god Pan. And I went, okay. And I'm going, you can't be a god. There's only one God. Which, of course, I said. I'm never politically correct. And he kind of looks at me and he says, I am the god Pan. There is one God. There is only one God. But I am the god Pan. I didn't understand that it was like not really a lesser god, but it was like an archangel. Pan is like an archangel that considered himself, and some of them do, they considered themselves as gods. But you have to understand they were worshipped as well. But he hadn't been tainted, and he wasn't a fallen one. So I decided I really didn't want to work with the Pan direct. He was kind of, so I worked
A little gruff, huh?
a little, yeah. So I worked with Marigold, which was his right-hand person, and Marigold was super sweet, and she explained it to me, and so I've been working with her ever since. And the Legion of Pan have been around forever. They are what you would call divas, fairies, gnomes, trolls, but they're actually angelics of the nature spirit community. Like you have an arc diva of corn with individual divas like guardian angels of each individual plant. So every plant, every animal, every tree has its guardian angel, divic. Okay?
That's really cool.
It is really cool. It's allegiance, all right? They're legions. These are angelics. So when you're working with Pan, one of the first things that I did was, I don't like water bugs, you know, or whatever those things are. I had never met them in California before. So I asked the diva of water bugs to remove them from my house. They could put them on the back porch, they could put them outside, they could put them in the garage. I just didn't want them in my house. The next thing I know, there's a whole bunch of water bugs on my porch, which I had no idea that I had that many in my house. But I think it was a good show for me under the circumstances, and it worked. And I had all sorts of things that showed up in my house that I had Legion of Pan removed. It got pretty wild. Then I got to this place where I recognized that the Legion of Pan and nature, we're all one. We're all intelligent. We're all consciousness of one true God. Then I couldn't bait my hook when I went fishing. Because we're all one. And it's a consciousness. Well, they came through the medium, they said, no, it doesn't work like that. We serve each other. It's okay. We all serve each other. We take care of each other.
So hunting?
Hunting's okay. If you do it correctly, with respect, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with
You're
that.
hunting to eat.
Yes, and you're thanking them. Because it does no harm. They simply reincarnate, like, really fast. So it's not a big deal for them. And they're taken out without a great deal of pain. They have a lot of endorphins that ease the pain. So, and I got worried about chickens. Yeah, I like chickens. And they said, no, it's okay. It needs to be done respectfully. Well, of course, they don't do it respectfully. But they do understand. But because of man's cruelty to animals, where at one time animals used to communicate with mankind one-on-one, they were not allowed to do that anymore because mankind is too dangerous. It's too dangerous to do that. So they have like this little law that they're really not allowed to communicate. But sometimes they'll let you anyway, if they know that you mean well.
And they're safe.
And they're safe, yeah. So everything has purpose. Everything has a reason. And the reason you use the various names of God is because those particular names, God has 72 names, those particular names have authority with whatever legion that you're working with.
And God gave us the animals for us, and the plants for us.
Well, they explained to me that it's no different eating a plant than it is an animal, except you can't necessarily see their face.
But they have conscience.
They have consciousness. They have personality. They have intellect. Think about eating a raw carrot. that kind of freaked me out when I started. Cow over here, chicken over here, raw carrot over here. I respect everybody's right to do whatever they want, whatever makes you feel okay. But that was the information that I was given.
So are you saying the names of God each have a legion
Yes.
associated with them?
Yes, each name of God carries under it a legion of angels that can actually call upon legions of angels.
Wow.
And each name of God is an aspect, a trait, an aspect, a characteristic of God.
Are there particular names that have more legions than others?
No, it's all the same. It's all the same.
A woman comments that she has seen both demons and angels.
Yeah.
And she has told her sisters this, who are Christian, and they don't believe her.
Well, it's really not taught about the demonic in the church. It's really not taught about the angels in the church. And it depends upon which church. And it depends upon which religion. So it's okay. If they believe, it's okay. If they don't believe, it's okay. If they're supposed to, it'll happen. If they're not supposed to, that's not their lesson in this lifetime.
Once you send a spirit into protected sanctuary, can that same spirit come back out and reattach to you?
No, absolutely not. Now let me explain about the sanctuaries. The sanctuaries are actually in the light. They're kind of like halfway houses, but they're in the light. And this gives that soul a chance to acclimate to the fact that they're still a living being. Because a lot of people expect that when they lose their physical body, they're going to be dead, non-existent. And when they're awake and they're alive, and it goes against their paradigm, their belief system, they don't know how to deal with it. So the family members are allowed to visit them while they're in sanctuary, and they're worked with as they're in sanctuary so that they can then go into the light and be part of what's going on. And I've seen people stand there for like 5 years before they're able to deal with the light.
Wow.
Our time.
Right.
Over there's no time.
We've been having a lot of messages and the same question being asked throughout the lives. Do you do readings?
Yes, I do readings. Regular readings.
For 30 minutes.
30 minutes, $75 for a reading. And my major forte is telling you who and what that person is, what they're about, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their plans are. And it can apply to you. I can go into the future to some degree. But the thing is, you have this thing called free will choice. And you can change aspects of the future by making different choices. And I can very often give you those choices, those options to make those choices to change the future. Years and years ago, I could look like 30 years into the future, but it's shifted. We've been given more free will now. So I can see somewhat into the future. I'm not a fortune teller. But I think my forte is probably character and personality, being able to tell you who that person is and whether you can trust them or not trust them. I've worked for banks with embezzlers, police with murderers, that sort of thing. Telling people the person that they're going to marry is either good or bad. Stuff like that. I can tell if they're a sociopath, if they're schizophrenic, if they have good intentions, bad intentions. I can tell if a business deal is a good deal or a bad deal.
But you're not going to say, you're going to meet so-and-so in 5 years and that's who
No.
you're going to marry.
Sorry. No.
And you're only doing phone readings at this point.
At this point in time, till the COVID thing. By the way, I've gotten both my
Someone asked
vaccinations
about
for
that.
COVID, and I'm still alive, and I'm still kicking, well, somewhat kicking, and I'm okay. So I highly recommend you get your vaccinations. I really do. It released a lot of, I guess, not fear. I didn't have fear of it. It gave relief to where if I go to Walmart with my bracelet on, I can shop. I don't have to run in and run out of there.
It removed anxiety.
Yeah, it removes anxiety. A little oppression, too.
Will there come a time when psychics, remote viewers, and mediums will be more integrated and openly utilized for their gifts, such as by the police force and the government?
It's happening now. Been happening. Where do they think we got the remote viewers? From the government. They started all that stuff. I remember all that. And they are using them. They're just not widely known. I was probably one of the first, not the only one by any means, but one of the first to get a lot of, through psychic detective and psychic investigator, notoriety on that. But yeah, they're out there. Now I'm going to tell you something. There's not a lot of us. I'm sorry. I used to think there was a ton of us out there. But I found out that there really aren't. There's a lot of wannabes, and there's people out there that are out there for the money. I don't believe in that. Yes, I have to pay my bills, okay? But I don't believe in taking advantage of people, particularly in an emotional state, for money. I think that's just wrong. There are good psychics out there, and there's some real gifted people that are hesitant about getting into the field. That's a good sign. I respect that. I think if you're going in the field to become somebody special or to make money, there's something wrong. But that's my opinion.
Okay. The best thing is to ask for people that have been referrals.
Check out their track record.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Absolutely.
Ask people who have visited them.
Yeah. Like I'm now up to 4 generations of the same families I've been working with for 30, almost 40 years.
So you're saying you're on the 4th generation of a family seeing you. We are past 9 o'clock now. It's about 10 after, but
we got started. No, we got started on time.
Just about on time, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take this one and then we can. Okay. My friend has been doing the daily lifting and it's working, but she feels that more spirits are attaching to her. She believes it's because she is so open and psychic. Is there a way to fix this or prevent it?
No.
Or close this opening?
Nope, that's her path. There's another aspect of this. When you're doing the daily lifting, you are actually working in service to God. You are redeeming lost souls back to God for their redemption. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Why would you want to stop it? Now, I will say this. I've gotten to a stage where I rarely ever get anyone attached to me. Like if I'm called into a haunted house, I walk into the haunted house, they usually take off. Okay? Because they're scared. Most people are scared of the light, they're scared of judgment, they're afraid of the unknown. And as far as they're concerned, I'm bringing the unknown to them. So if you want to slow down spirit attachments, keep doing the lifting. That will slow them down. That will tone it down.
In my experience, it seems like those that really need the help, they'll find you to go through.
Yes.
You're like a beacon of light for them, is
Absolutely.
how you explained it. They're the moth, you're the light.
And you should be grateful to my way of thinking. Because it hurts you a minute a day to do the lifting.
well, a few minutes now is stretched.
Well,
But that's okay.
let's see mine.
And one last thing to finish up with our topic tonight. Once your loved one goes into the light, can they still visit you?
Yes, they can. You don't lose your loved one by sending them into the light. And I have a lot of people that go, I can't let go of my loved one. I don't want them to go into the light. I don't want them to leave me. Do you really want to keep them in torment, at peril of the dark side?
In danger.
In danger, absolutely. When they go into the light, they're protected, they're free, they're allowed to flourish, to be young again, and yes, they can come back and visit you as deemed appropriate. Yes, they can come back and warn you and help you. Absolutely.
For those questions that we did not get to tonight, we will answer those just as soon as possible. Anything else you have to, I know you're going to do the lifting in just a minute. I do want to add one thing is that Carol is not here to ask or answer personal questions. She has a business. If you would like to get a reading, please contact the center, area code 501-888. Go ahead.
8056. And understand something, when I do a reading, I don't pull it out of the air. I'm not magic. I'm not God. I have to have something to touch.
The psychometry you were talking about at the very beginning.
You have to send it, okay? So don't go, will I meet my next husband within the next 8 months? No, I have no idea. I don't even know who you are, much less the future husband, okay? So send me photographs, samples of writing, set it up with Carol, the appointment time, and it'll be fine. I'll love working with you. Enjoy it. I'll truly enjoy it.
You'll be glad to do prayer work, though, for people.
Absolutely. No.
If they contact you and set up an appointment, you can do prayer work with them.
I always do prayer work with them, if that's what they want.
Yeah.
Is everyone ready for me to do a lifting? And is everyone in agreement for me to do a lifting?
Yes.
That's all of you out there. All of you. All right. I would please ask the Band of Mercy to remove all unclean spirits, thought forms, elementals, unnamed energies from each and every one of us now. In the name of Hagoel, Ashalom, God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ. And either place them in protected sanctuary or do whatever they deem necessary with them. And I thank thee. I would please ask the appropriate archangel or angels and the appropriate legions to please remove all demonic entities, energies, influences now in the names of Elohim, Eljar, Jehovah, Yahweh, Hagoel, Ashalom, God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ. And either place them in protected sanctuary or do whatever they deem necessary with them. And I thank thee. I would please ask the appropriate archangel or angels and the appropriate legions from the appropriate realms or counter realms to please remove all negative beings, entities, energies, influences now in the names of Insof, Shemhem Farash, Adonai, Shamish, Hagoel, Ashalom, God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ. And either place them in protected sanctuary or do whatever they deem necessary with them. And I thank thee. I would please ask the Glory Band of Mercy to remove anything that's attached, affecting, or influencing now and place them into protected sanctuary in the name of Hagoel, Ashalom, God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ. And place them in protected sanctuary, and I thank thee. I would please ask the Integral Band of Mercy to remove anything that's attached, affecting, or influencing now and place them into protected sanctuary or do whatever they deem necessary with them in the name of Hagoel, Ashalom, God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ. And I thank thee. I would ask the Archangel Michael and his legions to remove all demonic entities, energies, influences now in the names of God Almighty and in the name of Jesus Christ and place them into protected sanctuary, and I thank thee. I would please ask the Archangel Gabriel to remove all sons of darkness now, in the name of God Almighty, and in the name of Jesus Christ, and place them into protected sanctuary, and I thank thee. Good night. Thank you. I hope I hear from you. Stay safe, and God bless.